Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general week ahead reading for the water signs. So Cancer, Pisces and Scorpio. Running from the 28th of June to the 4th of July. Now, for some reason that I can't quite put my finger on, I have to do them separately this week by element, so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm also being very strongly pushed to ask you to look beyond this week, right? If there is a way at all in which you can kind of look to transcend what is going on around you, that will set you up very, very well. And I don't know if this is the first full week that we're in Cancer season, and so the emphasis of the energy is on I feel rather than anything else. It's a week to try and pull back a little bit from, what is going on around you, if you possibly can, and see the broader picture. See, for trying to connect with energy rather than, being distracted by what's going on in front of you. I don't know where that's coming from, but it was very, very strong when I sat down here, so I'm going to go with that. So to that end, we're going to structure the reading like we usually do. But instead of a theme for the week coming from the tarot, we're going to go with the Spiral Oracle, which is by Lily Acuna, I think. I bought it on Kickstarter and it's absolutely phenomenal. But we're kind of like, we're going bigger this week. So I'm going to give these 5 shuffles and I'm going to pull out an oracle card and then we'll go with it the way that it has been done before. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So for Cancer, Sun, Moon and Ascendant, we have Center for you this week. I'm going to read you what it says in the book because I'm not very familiar with this at all, but I've been doing some readings for me with this oracle deck and been kind of blown away by it. Everything moves and I take advantage of that movement, flowing with it. Like a river, water naturally will find its way towards life. Something guides me in a torrent, something moves me from the center. So I listen to all the answers that are waiting for my attention. Life is now, the waters are telling me. And the theme is flow. Interesting that it's very watery in subject. We're talking about Cancer. I leave behind controlling tendencies and the fear of change. I embrace what is new without resistance so that my passion flows from the center and the inevitable comes to flourish along with my own beauty. That is your theme for the week this week, Cancer. Now, let's have a look and see if we can see practically how you would channel that energy. Oh, thank you. Very first card we have is the World. Wow. And the Ace of Pentacles. The best way to navigate this energy this week is let go what needs to let go and go with the flow. I mean, it's right here. It's about finding your personal center, and that is something that sits well outside of whatever things may be occurring in your external 3D version of yourself right now, so kind of it's almost like, well, it's not, I was going to say it's almost like it doesn't matter what's going on around you this week. Obviously it matters, you're a spirit having a human experience, and that human element is always going to be present and always going to be necessary. However, the things that you have been working on, over the last couple of months, and we've seen it in the Cancer readings, really starting to nail down this idea of everything coming from the self, which is what we would see with the Chariot card, which is a card of Cancer. Knowing that everything comes from here, and whatever's going on outside of you, it's your perspective and your perceptions that shape that. I mean, if you want to get all philosophical about it, I mean, does the world really exist outside of your own mind? I mean, maybe not. I might just be a figment of your imagination, just a part of your brain that's sparking and telling you these things, But even if nothing changes, everything can change, because the world outside of you is a reflection of what is going on inside, and what is going on inside of you, Cancer, is a really major transformation. it's been been underway for quite some time now, but this is a card of completion. This is a card of really releasing those things that need to be let go and allowing new things in, and all coming from that center point, knowing that it is your perspective and your perceptions that shape how you see those things, maybe even shape the reality of your existence. Yeah, almost certainly. So it could be that there are new opportunities that are around you this week, and that would be nice. It'd be a bit of a birthday present for you, wouldn't it? But often those opportunities are there the whole time. What we need to shift is our ability to perceive and receive those opportunities, and understanding that who you were a year ago is actually not who you are now. In fact, from what I've seen in the way that the cards have been reading for you in the last few months, who you were at the beginning of this year is now no longer who you are now. It's going with the flow. You are starting to go with the flow. As a highly intuitive water element sign, it's always going to be easier for you if you find that point of connection with yourself, and this week it does all seem to be stemming right from there. So let's have a look at love and interpersonal relationships for Cancer, please. Whoa, what do we have here? We have the Devil in reverse and we have the Magician. This is astonishing. And the first thing that I hear is that which you have thought was your greatest weakness is actually your biggest strength. You know, it's another perception shift. It's about releasing those relationships that have bound you in the past, but not the people, the emotional responses to those people, the ways in which you have, you know, quite often set the bar too low for what is an acceptable reciprocal relationship for you. You know, how does this say, like, with one of my partners, I shan't tell you which, just for anonymity's sake, all I ever needed was a smile from him, and then I was good, right? And I let so many other things fly because he had a nice smile, and when he smiled at me, he just made me feel warm and fuzzy inside. You know, my Venus is in Cancer, so, you know, but that balance was very unequal. I set the bar very, very low, and so he could get away with whatever he wanted, you know, because at the end of the day he only had to smile and then everything was fixed, and I was like, oh, I'll just keep doing this is great because he smiled, so he's happy, that's fine. Understanding and taking responsibility for those things in you that allowed those difficult situations, those difficult relationships that you've had in the past. Taking responsibility for those and changing those in and of yourself is changing your reality. It's not just changing your perception of reality, it is changing reality itself as you experience it, and it's putting you in an incredibly empowered position. Now, these cards are Capricorn and Gemini respectively, and it could be that you have something to do with one or other of those signs, but I actually don't feel like that's necessarily the case for most of you, to be honest. Tell me about this. It's all about the recognition of how hard you have worked. Oh, gosh. How hard you have worked in previous relationships and how out of balance, how out of kilter that situation was. You know, I got pulled up by a Cancer in a previous reading saying we don't just, you know, give our heart to any Tom, Dick and Harry. To every Tom, Dick and Harry. And I said, well, that's not what I said. I said any Tom, Dick and Harry. And the point was not that you just, you know, saw some ruffian and it was just like, okay, right, you know, I love them now. Oh, here's my heart, I'm just going to give it to everyone. It's not about that. It's a lot more subtle. It's a lot more nuanced. It's about setting that bar really, really low in terms of what you expect as treatment from other people, what you will not only tolerate, but what makes it worth it for you. And I think Cancers have historically set the bar very, very fucking low, and for themselves set it very, very high, these unattainable standards for yourself that you have always tried to set. And they're unattainable because they're frankly they come at a cost, a huge energetic and emotional cost. And for many of you, your relationships in the past have absolutely drained the living shit out of you because it was about giving and giving and giving and giving. And interestingly, these clarifiers that have come up underneath here are actually absolutely speaking to that. We have the Eight of Pentacles here. We have the Seven of Swords, and we have the Three of Pentacles. Now, the Eight of Pentacles talks about that level of work that you put in over and over again. Nothing is too much trouble for those that you love, whether or not they are deserving of your time, your care, your effort, you know. Remember that I see Pentacles as energetic currency, so it can be money, but it can be all of those other things as well. It can be those things that you invest, and as a Cancer, you're willing to give everything that you have because, you know, Cancer energy is it's not only about harmony, but it's also about being of service, right? That's what Cancer is predisposed to do. And there are ways to do that that are incredibly healthy, not just for you, but for others. And there are ways to do that that are extremely toxic to you. And I think for a lot of Cancers, that experience of toxicity has been the one that has largely dominated your relationship scape. The Seven of Swords is often a card of deception, and for you it's not seeing those flags, or seeing those flags and going, oh gosh, aren't they pretty, that's a really lovely shade of red. I really like red, it's my favourite colour, you know, without kind of finding a way to relate that back to you. Like, why is that a red flag for you specifically? You know, what is that touching in you? What past experiences, what past conditioning have you had as a Cancer that tells you that it is important that you pick up the slack everywhere, that you put in all of the effort, that you will accept a smile in return for the ways in which you have turned yourself inside out for other people? You know, in this Seven of Swords here, we actually have a castle built in the sky. It is on clouds there, right? It is that self-deception about why we're putting in the work and the value of the relationship that we're putting the work into. Because ultimately, Three of Pentacles, it's about working together, it's about teamwork, it's about harmony, it's about all of those things, right? The Cancer is a sign that wants to be around people. You know, it wants that emotional connection to people. And what is really, really important this week is that you really, truly not just observe and understand, but feel how it feels when relationships are on a healthy footing rather than a less healthy footing. What have we got at the bottom of the deck here? We've got the Six of Swords. It's about leaving behind those past versions of what is a relationship experience to you. It's an incredibly empowered place to be coming from, Cancer. And it's one that, I mean, I don't want you to think for a second that I'm denigrating the way that you have gone about relationships, because I'm really not. Like, there's incredible lessons to be learned in there, huge lessons, and this desire to be of service will never go away from you, will never leave you. It is your predisposition, but let's make sure that it's coming from a healthy place, and not from somewhere else. You know, I've done a lot of readings for Cancers, and there are a lot of narcissistic mothers around. It's particularly mothers, and a little less so fathers, and cold and distant fathers perhaps, or, you know, geographically removed fathers, but very self-indulgent mothers who have made their Cancer children work for the attention that they have received, that which they should have just got by dint of being a child. No, you've had to put the effort and the work in, and that's the pattern that you've taken into adulthood. You're leaving that behind, Cancer. And you're leaving it behind because you experienced it, because you know it, because you see the answers have always been there. But now you're asking the right questions of yourself, and it's coming from a place of self-empowerment. It's coming from a place of nurturing. It's coming from a place of care. It's coming from a place where you are not subjugating yourself and putting yourself right at the bottom of the pile, hoping that at some point somebody's going to throw some effort in, you know, in your direction. It's not about that anymore. It's you first, than everybody else. You know, what you have left over after you have nurtured yourself, that will be available for those who deserve it, but not the other way around. Right, let's have a look at work, money and material environment, please, for Cancer. What have we got going on here? We've got some decisions that need to be made. I don't know why I kept shuffling, actually. I've got 2 cards there. We've got the 2 of Swords. We also have the 3 of Swords. Now, obviously, that continues on, but the 3 of Swords is in the reverse here for you. So, it feels actually to me like there is an opportunity that is around you this week, and it's exactly this that we were talking about, that subtle shift in perception that allows you to see the opportunity where once you may not have done. You know, we've got the 8 of Cups at the bottom of the deck here. It is entirely possible that for some of you, there's some sort of movement here. There's some sort of thing that needs to be moved away from. So perhaps you are shifting jobs, perhaps you're shifting position within your job, something like that. You know, maybe you've just kind of zeroed in on the fact that you're really not happy where you are at the moment. That might require you going somewhere else, you know, or shifting departments, or you know, whatever it is. But with this 2 of Swords here, this specifically is a card of kind of like having a decision to make but putting it off, right? Not consulting the important bits, those important skills that are available to you, and for you that is your intuition, that is how you feel about a particular thing. You know, it is my card of ignoring the red flags there. But this is another thing where this shift in perception that you have been having is kind of allowing you to look at your life, all aspects of your life, differently, because this indicates a level of healing. So where this was keeping the status quo, where this was keeping you stuck and trapped and not really knowing how to move out of that situation altogether, this one here says that's starting to shift for me. Let's get some clarifiers for it. That 2 of Swords and the 3 of Swords here, please. Yeah, we've got the 2 of Swords again, and we have Death. With the 7 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Now, this could be, honestly, this could be work related, but this could also be to do with your home, you know, any of your material situation, even your finances. You know, maybe you've realized that you've been kind of fooling yourself for a while that this is the way that things have to be, and you know, just kind of putting up with it. And actually there is a really obvious answer. It's just one that you didn't really want to look at. Maybe it's having to work a little bit more, maybe it's having to work a little bit less, maybe it's having to make big changes in the way that you do things. But there's big changes coming for you this week, because we have the 2 of Swords again. But notice how this 2 of Swords is very different in its depiction. Now we have a character about to cut the head off a snake. Whatever the issue is, whatever makes the situation a 7 of Pentacles one for you, and that is one that is less than optimal for you, right? It's like something's wrong with this situation. Now, I don't think that you've willfully kind of ignored it. Some of you might have done. It's more a case of perhaps being a little bit too close to the situation that you could not quite see the answer. And as you pull back from it, as you're kind of engaging in this work here, it's kind of allowing you to look at other things and go, well, actually, does that really matter? You know, this center card is about bringing everything back to your center. You know, maybe it's just that you've realized that there's been a bit of profligate spending because you were trying to, I don't know, maybe you were running a more expensive car than you needed to, right? Because it looked nice. There are lots of different ways that this could be showing it. But this week sees you kind of working out what it is and cutting the head off that snake. Right? Actually, what is important? This isn't important. In a toss-up between having enough, you know, money in the bank to be able to go and feed my children and driving a shiny car or whatever. It could be something like that. You know, the answer is obvious. It feels like there's a step back taken this week to look at things objectively and going, no, right, that's the thing that needs to go. Because we have the Death card next to it, we have that coming to an end, right? Where you have not seen what is the problem, and there is something that's niggling at you here. This is the week where you crack it. I like that. It's very nice. So, let's have a look at your point of focus for this week, please. What should Cancer be focusing on this week? 3 of Pentacles. That's interesting. Rather than, so it's the Three of Pentacles again, which we have already seen. Rather than it being you kind of casting your net out and being like, right, here, who are people that I can collaborate with? It feels more like a kind of philosophical take on what teamwork should look like, right? Where every single person here is pulling their weight. And we've got two Masons and we've got somebody there who is giving direction to, right? Now they're all doing important work. There's no one person that's carrying all of this, and that one person that's been carrying everything for years has been you, you know? It's like a contemplation and exploration of what it would be like to be in a situation where everybody was pulling your weight. Or maybe it is that you have somebody around you who you feel is actually, you know, starting to pull their weight. And what you're reflecting on this week is how different that feels to every other situation that you've been in before. We've got the High Priestess and we've got the Ten of Pentacles here, and I like that for you because, like I said, you're an extremely intuitive sign, and I think that you're getting much closer to your intuition. I think you're getting to a point where you can trust your intuition a lot more than you have done in the past, and it's guiding you at the moment, right? It's a very symmetrical card. The High Priestess is sitting in the center. The High Priestess is also about that inner knowing, that inner wisdom, right? For you, it is all about the center this week. And if it is that you need to, well, do you have people around you with whom there is that reciprocal relationship, or do you not? Like it feels like it's the contemplation of it this week. And then we have the Ten of Pentacles, which can be a card of business, can be a card of work, it can be a card of home, but ultimately it's a card of commitment. It's a card of heritage and legacy sometimes, maybe even generational karma, you know, depending on what it is that you're working on. But here, rather than taking action, it feels like a week of really reflecting on it, right? Getting philosophical about shit and then working out how you feel about things. Like, let your feelings this week dictate things. And by that, I'm notice what your feelings are telling you, you know, and then pull back from them and observe them, because you are not your emotions, you're not even your thoughts, right? You're something much bigger than that, much more powerful than that. But if you can step back and observe those, you can more accurately discern where your center is and where the conditioning and things like that lie. You can kind of put those to one side and forget about those, because there's a purity coming in here for you, Cancer. It's a purity of self. I like that. What should Cancer avoid this week, please? Alright, no, I'm not. There are like 4 cards there, I'm not taking that. What should Cancer avoid this week, please? Thank you. Justice, right? Don't get hung up on fairness and unfairness, right? We're trying to maintain a degree of objectivity this week, and justice is an objective thing, right? Don't let the feelings, don't kind of sink down into them and let them drag you down a river of feeling sorry for yourself about things, right? There are situations in your past, you have been treated in ways that are really awful. Like, they're really, really awful. And I feel like the closer you get to your own personal center, the more obviously awful those things are. Because it could well be that you had friends going, what the fuck are you doing in that relationship there? You know, that person is abusive as fuck. And you've gone, yeah, made excuses or that kind of thing, because you didn't really see it. But now, when you know, maybe decades down the line, you're kind of looking back at that and you're going, wow. You know, and that can hurt all over again, often. But what we're doing is we're looking at it and we're trying to pull the lessons out. We're not trying to re-experience the emotion over and over again, right? Because this period, and it does feel very strong for all of the signs, like I'm doing the readings for July now for each of the signs. There's a lot of transformation going on with a lot of people, right? So There are new stories being written. What we don't want to do is take old scripts with us into those new stories, right? Old scripts that tell us, you know, who we are and you know, what we feel, that is coming from a kind of faulty place, right? It's all about purifying all of that and getting the emotions right so that they are ready for the new story. Don't get hung up on the injustices of the situations, because you know, even injustice, it's a matter of perception, right? Now, if you're very much in the 3D, I am in my material environment, you know, there is nothing else beyond me here, then yeah, all of this stuff is awful. You pull back from it a little bit and go, what did I learn from all of these things? Like the biggest life lessons I've ever had have come at the hands of people who should have treated me a hell of a lot fucking better. And I imagine there are probably people out there who think the same about me. You know, they think that I should have treated them better and whatnot. But when you're looking for the lesson, when you are understanding that you are a spirit, literally just having a human experience, you are the universe experiencing itself, it starts to put a very different spin on things. And there isn't the need to attach to feelings of fairness or unfairness. There's just, what did I learn? And I actually am quite grateful for, you know, some of the awful experiences that I've had, because I've learned a lot from those. That can be a difficult place to reach, but don't discount it, right? The ability to feel gratitude. What have we got here? Yeah, we've got the Knight of Wands and we've got the Sun in reverse. I think a lot of the situations that you have been in have involved others who have been in no way as committed to you as you have been to them. And that is, well, it is unfair, it is unpleasant, but we're pulling back from that this week. We're all about the centre. We've got the Chariot card at the bottom of the deck. That is your card, Cancer. And this is all about kind of pulling away from that, not allowing you to get stuck down in the injustice and you know, and the misery, actually, of old situations. Just see them for what they are. Don't give any thought to, you know, all that sort of thing. This is working on your karma and your karma alone, not other people's. It's their journey, it's not your thing. Where you've collided, where are the lessons in there for you moving forwards? Right, feels like quite a deep week for you, Cancer. I'm not gonna make any bones about that. But it's where the energy is taking you this week, so it is go with the flow, right? So we're going to put all these back, and then we're going to move on to Scorpio. So look at these. Back. I'll do 5 shuffles for Scorpio. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So for Scorpio, the oracle card is Stellar Embrace. Let's see what the book says about that. Wow, this is such a scorpionic first bit here. Stellar Embrace. I argued with reality, and life felt like a strict teacher. How can I rest in my here and now when the situation is so complex? So I took a journey of self-observation and found a limitation I hadn't seen before. Little by little, adapting to the new and accepting the space as it is, a deep gratitude began to grow within me. Today I welcome in my heart a sacred sadness, a true, vulnerable I. Today I finally give myself a break. Life invites me to dare to go through that dark night of feelings not fully lived, because it is useless to fight against the inevitable. Much of the dance of life is moving in an uncertain, mysterious direction. I am not in control, so I let go of that struggle, move out of the way, and stop being an interference in my own path. I accept my sadness, and I grow in joy. I accept my weakness, and increase my strength. The theme of this card is acceptance and reconciliation. Acceptance matures in me when there is a full confidence that I can throw myself into the void and pass through the confusion, knowing the intelligence of life always sustains me. I jump into an abyss made of fear, and after jumping I begin to float. As I float, I look down from above, and the landscape of acceptance permeates me completely. My inner struggle calms down, and an immense force springs forth from that place. I reconcile myself. I embrace in myself all that is coming. What you deny claims you. What you accept transforms you. Holy shit, Scorpio. That could not have been more fucking Scorpionic. If it tried. I got a combination of like a mad rush of heat and also like incredible goosebumps from that. Let's have a look and see how you navigate this energy for you. Tell me about stellar embrace, please. Yeah. We come back to intimacy, Scorpio. We've got the Two of Cups and we have got the Two of Swords. We're talking about that resistance. That resistance to intimacy in whatever way it applies. It doesn't have to be in romantic relationships, although that would probably be a very good marker for it. It could show up in every single interaction that you have with lots and lots of people. This week it is about seeing that limitation that you did not see in yourself before. I feel that very strongly. I mean, even the colours like run across these cards in a really similar way. It's all about you, Scorpio, but it is also all about everything that is outside of you too. You know, it's about the ways in which you struggle in the day-to-day with intimacy, with people, with all of those things. But this week it really does look like you're taking a deep dive within yourself, and something has shifted. Something is shifting, and it's huge, you know. There's a Tower-esque feel about this reading, and I you know, most tarot readers say on Tower and it's like sudden shocking energy, you know, it's something coming in, and you know, it's you're losing your job, or you know, there's a breakup or something like that. But I can tell you for an absolute fact that my most intense Tower moments have usually happened while I was doing the washing up. I was just kind of, my mind was just drifting while I was doing something monotonous with my hands, and I had a thought. I saw something that I couldn't unsee once I'd seen it, because my brain had just connected a couple of things, you know, and it changed everything. It completely changed my perception of myself, my situation, maybe other people, you know, something like that. It's this kind of huge lightning epiphany that happens. And for me, those kind of Tower moments, completely invisible externally to you, unless you choose to share them with people. And even then, they can never quite understand the magnitude of what it is that your mind has just put together. It's the one that makes the biggest difference to you. Because just like with Cancer, like it literally changes the nature of your reality when you perceive something differently, when you realise that it doesn't have to always be about struggle and the darkness and all of those things that are so characteristic of the Scorpio experience, you know. Looks like it's going to be a deep week for you as well. Let's have a look at love and relationships specifically. All your interpersonal relationships. Scorpio. It's the Tower. I had a feeling it was going to come out. Like the energy, the way the energy feels is too much like that. But again, this isn't a situation where the earth has literally flipped sideways, because, and that's why I love this deck so much, because that's the image there, right? And literally, just like I was saying, it's kind of imperceptible to other people. Like the cat sat there going, the fuck are you doing on the floor like that? Like they cannot perceive the magnitude of what has just shifted inside your head there. Like maybe it's an area problem or something like that, right? Your balance has just gone. But we know that that's not it. It's like literally the fabric of your reality has shifted. Now, the Tower energy is beautiful because it's a fundamental course correction. And that's where you've been headed for a while now anyway, Scorpio, right? We've known that, you've known that. Like, you're so intuitive. But it feels like there's something breaking, there's something cracking inside of your head. And I wonder, with the Emperor at the bottom of the deck here, if it is specifically to do with control, if it is a way that you perceive now that you have tried to control something that you did not realize you were doing, you know, and that can be, you know, something very specific in front of you. You know, maybe you've tried to push somebody in a particular direction because you thought it was the best one. You know, you're trying to control that outcome for them. Maybe you're trying to control outcomes for yourself rather than just accepting what is coming in. But maybe it can be something, you know, bigger than that. You know, the absolute resistance to submitting to the lesson that is absolutely kicking you in the teeth at the moment. You know, it could be something as fundamental as that, and it would explain why your entire worldview will change off the back of this. Tell me about this story, about this tower, please. Oh, fuck. Tell me about this tower. I mean, we're there again, we're talking about limitations. We've got the Eight of Swords appearing right here, right? A limitation that I did not see before. What do we have here as well? Fuck my life, right? We have the Ten of Swords at the bottom of the deck. It is difficult. It is challenging energy. There is absolutely no doubt. Between the Tower, the Eight of Swords, and the Ten of Swords, like, this is hard. It's really, really hard. But it's something coming to completion. It is something coming to an end. It is that struggle. It is the maybe even the limitations, you know, the ways in which you have kept yourself stuck are coming to an end because you see something now that you did not see before. To bear that out, we also have the Page of Swords. This is a card that speaks to me about changing the way that you literally see the world, right? The Page of Swords is all about expansive thinking. It is also about elevated thinking. You know, it's kind of pulling up and above what is the situation there, just as it was saying here in the book. You know, as I look down, I see all of that struggle that I've been doing and I let it go. That's what the Page of Swords says to me here. And the beautiful thing is that what comes after it is the Ace of Pentacles. The Ace of Pentacles is the new start here. This isn't just lessons for your soul, although primarily that's what they are, and that's where the importance is. But this also changes what it is that you can bring about for yourself in the material realm. And by material realm, I don't mean necessarily in the, you know, manner of finances or stuff like that. I mean in the way that you behave, in the way that you see the world, in the way that you do things in the world, in the way that you try and structure things in the world. You know, the Ace of Pentacles is about, it's that seed, it's that acorn that you plant, knowing that at some point in the future that's going to become a fully fledged tree, huge oak tree, if you care for it and if you nurture it in the right way. This isn't necessarily about getting what you want in the here and now, but it is absolutely about getting what you need. Now, being as this is showing up in your love and interpersonal relationship zone, right? This could well be to do with a partner or a spouse or something like that, but it could be so much bigger than that. It could be about literally the way that you deal with every single other person on the planet. When you release that struggle inside of you, it's such a big shift. I can't tell you what a big shift it is. I can literally feel it in my fucking core. It's such a big shift. It opens so many things up, and new relationships can come in, even if they are new relationships with old people, right? Changing the nature of how that relationship presents to you, you know? It could be your oldest friend that you now see in a different way because you've released that struggle. It'll be different for each of you. But it's profound, yeah, you know, in whatever way it expresses itself. Let's have a look at your work and money, material environment, that sort of thing. What we've got going on here, we've got the Seven of Pentacles, so we've got things going on there that they're less than fucking optimal too. And maybe it is, Scorpio, that you've realized that this limitation that you've seen in yourself is one that doesn't just affect how you see yourself or how you relate to other people, but maybe it's got a bigger, wider field of influence than you ever gave credit for. Because the Seven of Pentacles is about knowing that a situation is off in some way or another, right? There's something about this situation that is not good for you and you don't really understand what it is. And you have to be present. You have to be looking at it to go, do I invest more or do I pull away from this now? You know? So if it's finances, it could well be that you know, let's bring it round to something really, you know, flat and 3D. Like maybe you've not got enough money coming in. Maybe you've got enough money coming in, but you're spending too much of it. That's one way of looking at it. If it was a work situation, then perhaps, you know, you're just realizing actually you fucking hate your job. You really fucking hate your job. And it's not giving you what you want, whether that is money or recognition or progression or any of those things. And like, now, what do I do about this? You know, there's an aspect of problem solving, certainly, about this, but I feel like the issue is not a new one that arises. It's more a case of you kind of noticing it for the first time and going, why am I even doing this to myself? Like, I need to do this differently, you know? At the bottom of the deck, the shadow cards, we have the Hanged Man and we have the Three of Wands. There is something here that is going to require you to change your behavior in some way, right? There's Three of Wands here. There's movement, right? But it's also a low-level card of manifestation for me, where the Two of Wands is about hitting a crossroads and kind of mentally walking through, seeing the consequences of taking one road over another. The Three of Wands is when you actually put that backpack on your back and you go around fucking going this way. It's about going from a place of stasis and kind of mental contemplation to then putting one foot in front of the other and actually taking some action in some way. And it's usually a slightly different kind of action to the one that you've been doing thus far, right? If you hit a crossroads, you're going left or right, you're not going straight on, because you're probably going to walk straight into a boulder or something like that. So there is also there is this implied change of direction. I mean, you've got the fucking tower, so like the course corrections off the fucking chart anyway, right? But this week, something's changing. And possibly it's changing because you've changed the way that you think about this, right? So where it was just kind of like a low-level discomfort with what the situation was this week, because you've actually looked at it properly, you've already, you know, you've skipped the Two of Wands, going straight to the Three. You've gone from a place of having no information to suddenly having all the information that you need. And it might well be that the new information is just some sort of insight about yourself, you know? Let's get a couple of clarifiers for that. Tell me about the Seven of Pentacles, please. Thank you. Yeah, we've got the Two of Swords and we've got the Eight of Pentacles. With the Eight of Cups at the bottom of the deck here. So there is movement away from this unsatisfactory situation that you found yourself in. But Two of Swords, again, right, it's that need to make a decision. It's that need to employ all of your mental resources and put it, probably some emotional ones as well. But like I said, in this particular deck, I really like the fact that the character is about to cut the head off a snake, right? The snake being the issue here for you, whatever the problem is. Being able to look at it directly and go, well, you need to go, and just cut your head off. And then shift into a different direction, right? With the Eight of Pentacles, getting your head down and really working at making this happen for yourself. So let's have a look and see what your point of focus should be this week. Point of focus for Scorpio. Thank you. Death. The Scorpio card. Your point of focus this week, Scorpio, is you, but also your own personal transformation. I mean, it couldn't be more clear than that. We've got you've got Death and the Tower in the same reading, right? Now, I'm not going to be dramatic about this, but those are two pretty fucking dramatic cards. But it does feel internal. Like I said, it feels imperceptible to other people, but the shift in you this week is gargantuan. It feels like it changes everything. Tell me about this Death card, please. Not just in terms of how you feel, but also potentially in in the way that you see yourself altogether, right? In the way that you actually, you know, your ego tells you who you are. Like, we've all got an ego. There's nothing wrong with an ego, right? It is part of the self. But almost like the narrative that you've written for yourself changes this week. And as a result, the identity shift is palpable too. Like, what it is to be you, Scorpio, in this moment feels very, very different to who it was 2 weeks ago, right? Or even maybe the night before. Who knows? What have we got here? Yeah. We've got the Six of Swords and we've got the Fool. Leaving behind the old version of Scorpio and embracing the new version of Scorpio. Interestingly enough, the Fool is also... one of the meanings of the Fool is trust. Trust is a difficult... it's a difficult concept for Scorpios. You know, whilst being so completely and utterly trustworthy as you are, you know, if you want something to be kept quiet forever, you tell it to a Scorpio. Right? That's never leaving your lips again. I know that. I've spoken before about, you know, my ex, who's a Scorpio. If ever I needed to bury a body, it's probably him I would call, right? Even though I'd not spoken to him for, you know, 3-4 years, something like that, like, because no matter what has transpired, that loyalty and that trust between us, you know, exists really, really strongly. Now, whether he trusts me to the same degree, you know, who knows? I don't know. But it's somewhat ironic that, as, in my opinion, you know, the sign who is most likely to keep a secret for someone else is the one who is least likely to trust anyone else on the planet with such a thing. Or maybe it's because your standards are really, really high. But what we're seeing here is also a shift in your relationship with trust, specifically of other people too, you know. This feels like an absolutely monumental week for you, Scorpio. I think you'd be fucking exhausted by the end of it, to be honest. Right, what should Scorpio avoid this week, please? We've got the Four of Wands. It came out sideways, which is really quite interesting. Because in the upright, it talks about home. Right? It talks about celebration and joy and all that sort of thing. You know, it talks about the people that feel like home to you. And in the reverse, it's almost like a destabilization. If home is a stabilizing factor, which one would assume that it is, then it coming in the reverse would be destabilizing. But it's come out in this sideways position and it feels like it has neutrality. Let's get this. Interesting. This is not a week for neutrality in you, Scorpio. It's actually not a week for you to try and balance yourself either. This week's going to be intense as shit for you, but I actually think that that's something that you need to throw yourself balls deep into, right? There's no equivocation here. It has to be an all or nothing situation. The card at the bottom of the deck here is the Six of Pentacles for what you should avoid doing this week, right? Don't spend too much time trying to balance yourself out about this, because like this card here, this is asking you to go all in. This card here, all in. Whether you like it or not, all in. Asking you to go all in. This is not a week for kind of hedging your bets, trying to be neutral about things, right? Particularly when it comes down to what your sense of home and what that means in here for you. The two cards that came out underneath it are the Ten of Swords again and the Death card again. in order for this shift to occur in the strongest way that it needs to, it requires everything that you've got, Scorpio, and maybe a little bit more than you thought that you had. Like I said, I think that you'll be exhausted by the end of this week, but the release is palpable, absolutely life-changing. I'm not right. I'm a Leo, so occasionally I get a little bit dramatic, but I am a Capricorn ascendant, and I don't actually tend towards hyperbole. This feels life-changing to me. If you give it everything that you have, because I think you've actually got more in there than you think you do anyway. You're going to need a rest after this week. Faux show. Right. Let's get these packed away so we can do Pisces. Shit. Wait. There, and there, and there. We'll get the spiral oracle out again, and we will pull a card for Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant. Let's get these shuffled. So we'll do 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. The card for Pisces is Life. I love this deck so much. I really do. Stop it. H-I-J-K. Right. I turn my attention to my inner strength with stealth and diligence. In this darkness, I listen to the silence that speaks the words of the great mystery. I rediscover the benefits of concentration, consciousness, and contemplation. When I look into the darkness of the unknown, the Jaguar guides me into the light on the other side. She tests me, giving me the strength to move fearlessly in the wilderness, reminding me that once I learn to walk quietly in the darkness, I will be able to find unbreakable peace on my path. Little by little, the masks and bonds are destroyed. My inner beast is integrated, and with courage, life is reborn. Today, I surrender to uncertainty. This is the great challenge. The theme of the card is stability and balance. I was not paying the necessary attention, and it was much simpler than I thought. I keep my eyes wide open to what this meaning has to offer. Almost without realizing it, an opportunity appeared in front of me that I had not seen before. An opportunity to overcome inner blocks that had not allowed me to grow. Now I know how to move and how to go forwards. An intervention from above, from within, stabilizes me. I find the conscious tools that will guide me from now on. We build too many walls and not enough bridges. There. It looks like this week is going to be really, really deep for everyone, and not least you, Pisces. What was it just there that really struck me? Now I know how to move and how to go forwards. This is what you've been trying to do for a goodly while now, Pisces, and it has been moving, but it looks like if there are any blocks, if there are any obstacles, if there are any bonds that keep you stuck this week, you dissolve those. You can move beyond them. There's a very transcendent feel about this already for you, Pisces. So let's have a look and see this life card for Pisces, please. Yeah, I mean, it's just choose life is just what's screaming at me there. We've got the Lover's card and the Seven of Swords. Now, the Lover's card is the card of Gemini, but it's a card of conscious co-creation for me. It is about harmony and it's about union sometimes, but the prevailing meaning for me, or the predominant meaning for me, is choice. Right? It is knowing that you have the choice to do one thing over another, and that choice resides only with you, only ever with you. And this has been something that well, Pisces has been wrestling with, because you've been wanting to go and do your own thing, but there have been those ties that have bound you. Now, it's been about your response to those ties that has been the learning experience for you lately over the last few weeks. Sorry, I'm just distracted because something just flew up in the corner of the screen there, and I'm literally staring here and there was nothing there, but I saw it on the screen. It was really, really interesting. Totally thrown me. Anyway, the Seven of Swords, it can deal with deception, but I'm not getting that feeling for you at all in this reading, Pisces. This is about taking a risk. This is about being the lone wolf, and there you are. You know, you can input all sorts of nefarious intent and motivation to that card, but actually I don't feel any of that for you at all. It is about striking out on your own path and doing your own thing. Maybe this week is the week where this really truly happens for you. But like I said, you know, I felt very much this week very, very pulled to ask people to look beyond the obvious, look beyond what is going on in their 3D environment, and pay very special attention to what is going on within them. And for you, it is now taking that step. It's about, you know, taking that risk, being that lone wolf, choosing for yourself and yourself alone. Whew. Let's have a look at love and interpersonal relationships for Pisces, please. We have the Four of Cups. That's interesting. Because traditionally the Four of Cups talks about, oh shit, I've done that decks the wrong way around. Oh well, never mind. The Four of Cups talks about rejection. It talks about being taken for granted. It can talk about often being left behind. But do you know what? In the John Bauer Tarot, which is the one that I picked up rather than the deck that I've actually been using as the main deck, there's an entirely different feel to that card. Now, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but there's a smile on that girl's face. She is bent over, like she is sharing a secret with herself. You know, she maybe just allowing herself a moment of indulgence or some sort of, you know, secret liaison that she's been, you know, engaged with, you know, some secret information, maybe a secret relationship. You know, there's that kind of, this is for me and me alone here, and we don't get any of the notions of rejection or anything like that you usually come up with this card. It's something altered, it's something different, you know. And she's sat at the edge of a lake there, and she's allowing herself that quiet moment to really feel, it feels to me, gratitude, which is interesting because normally gratitude is the meaning that I get when the card is in reverse in another deck, but it's here very strongly in the here and now. Being a four, it's also foundational level energy too. So it feels to me like the emotional foundation that you are building for yourself now is one that necessarily is relatively solitary. Now, you could be surrounded by all sorts of people, Pisces. Like, I'm not saying that you're going off to live in the woods by yourself. You know, maybe you've got a cat or a dog, something like that, and you're just going to, you know, never be seen again. It's not like that. It's changing the nature of it's changing the nature of your reality, Pisces, because it's changing not just how you see yourself, but it is changing your behavior. It is changing the way that you show up in the world, right? What was traditional Pisces is no more with you. Now you have taken the important things that you have learned, but now it's been about striking out by yourself. It's about, you know, doing what you want, not what everybody else wants. It's not about being the glue that holds everybody together now. It is about you and you alone. So what do you want, Pisces? Well, you know what you want. I've just noticed the Four of Cups is at the bottom of this deck as well. So it's not about being alone and isolated. It's about changing the nature of the way that you interact with the world around you. Fuck's sake. We've got the Queen of Pentacles here, and a whole heap of cards that have come out together. Well, we've got the Hermit, we've got the Three of Wands, and we have the Hanged Man, which is the card of Pisces there in the Major Arcana. But I mean, if we just put that one to the side for a second, because the Hanged Man, rather than actually requiring anything of you in this reading, just feels like a simple statement of existence. Hello, I am Pisces, and here I am. you know, very authentic presentation of your energy right here. And it's completely unapologetic. It's just here. I'm just like, hello, I'm Pisces. But here, with the Queen of Pentacles and the Hermit and the Three of Wands, what we've got is somebody who is nurturing themselves first. They are, you know, paying heed to their own, their soul's own requirements. And do you know what? Some of that might actually involve you spending some time by yourself, right? Because we've got this Hermit card here. It's Virgo energy, but it is literally you going into the cave, right? In search of the answers for you. Because no matter how big it's felt, what you've been doing recently, Pisces, in terms of, you know, extricating yourself from the sticky web of the you know, the situations that you have been in order that you might start doing your own thing now and, you know, relocate, whatever it is. That was actually just the last step of your previous adventure. From here, things are going to go in a very, very different direction because it's all entirely under your guidance now. But it's the next step in a new journey. You're going to learn a lot of things here for yourself. Like I said, it's not just about going and living in the woods or going and living by a lake and then just never being bothered by anything. Like there are a lot of new things that are coming towards you. And at this point, nurturing yourself and adjusting, consolidating everything that you've learned so far. There is a resting feel about this. It's just taking a little bit of time just to let everything kind of settle within yourself. You know, finding the peace in the decisions that you've made up until this point, right? And readying yourself for the new adventure, readying yourself for what comes next is the important thing. You know, I don't actually feel like there's any need for you to be around people at the moment. I don't feel like you really want to be around people at the moment because, like I said, you're kind of waiting for all of this stuff to settle, you know, adjusting yourself to the new way of being, you know, your new version of life as it is for you. And for what comes next. So let's have a look at work, money and material environment. We've got the Two of Cups in reverse. I don't actually think you care that much about your material environment at the moment. I think that there has been, you've had to necessarily pull away from whether it's work or business colleagues or whatever. Like there's the Two of Cups is a breakup, right? It's a severing of ties. It's a going in different directions. And maybe, you know, like I said, that could be with, you know, work. It could be with a business partner. It could be with, it could be with your house, you know, like my Pisces daughter gets like incredibly emotionally attached to inanimate objects. I don't, yeah, she has to be careful because sometimes she gets too attached and then she can never ever throw that thing away because it will feel bad and then she will feel bad about the thing that doesn't have any, you know, sentience, feeling bad about something. And I'm like, whoo, Lena, you're falling into an intellectual K-hole here. You need to come back, right? But I don't get a sense of disquiet about this, whatever it is that you're separating from, whether it is inanimate objects at home, whether it is work colleagues, business partners, even maybe, you know, family, stuff like that. It doesn't feel that uncomfortable to you. Two of Cups, please. Yeah. Because we've got the Five of Swords and we've got the Nine of Cups. I mean, the Ace of Cups is at the bottom of the deck here. Like, there are no fucking pentacles here in your material thing at all. Now, I'm not suggesting that you like get totally forsworn money and you're just like, no, I will not use that. I'm just going to barter with prize skimming stones now. You know, with a local farmer for my produce and stuff like that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is there is absolutely, well, there's very, very little interest in that side of things at the moment. It's all about, and it's all stemming from how you feel at the moment. And this is good. Like, this is really good. What it suggests to me is that you have everything that you need already, right? And that is why you are not concerned about it. Like, you've got You've got the house, you've got, if you're moving home, you know, you've got the location sorted, you've got all of these things sorted. I don't know, maybe you're traveling or something like that. Like, that aspect of things is sound for you. It doesn't actually require any mental effort because you've done all of that already. This week, it's more about that separation, moving away from things. You know, we've got another card. Let's say there's Five of Swords here, right? It's another card where the traditional meanings don't seem to apply quite so much as they have done before. Like, I'm looking at this and there's this Viking dude, the Viking-esque dude kind of peering around there, but this boat in the background here is actually a fishing boat. More water. And he actually looks like he's watching to see how the fisherman is doing it so he can work it out for himself, you know. So it's like, I don't actually want to engage with the fisherman. I don't want to say, hey, can I, can you take me on as an apprentice fisherman? It's not interested in that, but it's kind of very curious about a different way of bringing in what they need. And it's here with the Nine of Cups, right? Which is about the emotional fulfillment, your personal emotional fulfillment. Yeah, it looks like chilies growing in there. You know, you might be starting to grow your own food and stuff like that, you know, like really getting back in with nature, just like raising your own stuff. I tell you what, like, I started growing vegetables back in, fucking 1999, something like that, right? And there's nothing that makes me feel more like a god than watching a little tiny seed break the surface. You know, my fucking first tomato plant, that's like that big, and I'm like, oh, it's growing, you know. Makes me feel really, really happy, and that feeling's never ever gone away. I love growing my own food. Like, maybe this is the same for you, Pisces. There's certainly an openness to new ways of getting what you need, that you're looking at, simpler ways, maybe. Right, let's have a look. What should Pisces' point of focus be for this week, please? Thank you. No foot. Well, we have two cards, and it's the Six of Swords and the Six of Wands. Both cards that intimate movement, right? The fives are all, you know, chaos and conflict usually, and that sort of thing. The sixes are all about moving on, like getting away from things. We've got success in the leaving behind of whatever it is that you're moving away from, right? That should be your focus. It's kind of like, don't look back, Pisces, because there's no fucking need to, right? Literally no need for you to look back. All of your adventures are forwards for you now. Let's have a look and see if the John Bower's got anything to add to that. Apparently yes. I will not, thank you. Yeah. We've got the World and the Three of Pentacles. And that's interesting because, like, obviously you're at the end of a major cycle here, Pisces. It's absolutely immense. And we see that here with the World card. We also see that peace and serenity, and we're back to water again, you know, like just gazing at her reflection in the water. But in this card, she always looks to me like she's just taking a moment, and she doesn't look to me like she's staring at her own reflection. She feels like she's looking lovingly into the water, like through her reflection, into that feeling of peace, before she goes off into the woods to go and do whatever she's doing for the day. You know, there's a feeling of meditation about it, right? Just taking a moment just to enjoy what is, and then she's going to go off and get on with her tasks for the rest of the day. But we've got the Three of Pentacles too. Now the Three of Pentacles is cooperation and teamwork. Remember, it's collaboration with other people. So as a, you know, prerequisite, kind of involves other people. But actually, I feel for you that it is that's one of the things that is completing here. The way in which you are, you have subjugated your will in the past for the greater good of the collective around you. And there's people that are important to you. Like that feels like it's something that's completing for me. And so now there might be some, at some point, I don't think it's going to happen now, but there might well be some contemplation of how it is that moving forwards you stay true to this new sense of independence that you found in this new, currently relatively solitary journey that you're on at the moment. How you bring other people in later without compromising any of that which you have built for yourself, you know. But for the most part, it's just about you getting out there and doing your thing, regardless of whatever's going on around you. What should Pisces avoid this week, please? Thank you. Got the Queen of Swords. She's an interesting character to have just stomped in here. Tell me about this. Okay, I think he's asking you not to be too enthusiastic about burning your bridges, Pisces. I've mentioned this before. There was a couple of weeks ago. There was a Pisces who said, commented on one of the videos and said that she'd actually been walking around and saying "fuck off" in her head to lots and lots of people, just in her head, not out loud. It was like, this is not a week to say "fuck off" out loud. Like, keep that within you, because you know, as exciting as this new journey is, and as solitary as it appears that it is, at least initially, there may come a point where those old relationships can come back in a healthier way, and what you don't want to have done is told them to fuck off and burn that bridge altogether, right? Because the Queen of Swords does cut things out, and she does have rather a cutting tongue. So don't necessarily unleash with a stream of invective telling people what you actually think of them. You know, it's just kind of like, let that just be quiet, you know, and let it go. Because we've got the Knight of Swords there, and both of them quite likely would talk about, talk with a cutting tongue, shall we say. But we also have the Hierophant here, and that is what is established, what has been established in the past. I feel like it is, you know, the people that have been around you up until this point, right? Don't be too enthusiastic to cut them out permanently, because some of them may well come back in at a later point. Right, Pisces, I'm going to leave it there. Oh, this is the water signs done. Oh, holy shit. Right, okay. I really, really hope that this was helpful. Big week for all three of you. And know that I love you all very, very much. And I will see you soon.